Hi there, grade sevens. Mr. Bremnes. I'm going to be sharing a video with you guys about combined percents, and we're going to talk a little bit about what they are, what they aren't. You guys have a Edmonton Eskimos assignment up right now talking about exactly this. So let's make sure that we take a look at it, understand it, know what it is, know what it isn't, and then maybe some strategies to kind of tackle these questions. So first, what they aren't. They are not an average. And I'll tell you what this means. So imagine you're taking a math test. Okay, on day one, this math test, you get 99 out of 99 questions right. This is a big, long multiple choice test, and you got 100% on that day. Okay. The next day, Miss Brockhoff comes in on day two. She says, you know what, guys? I actually forgot one question. This was supposed to be out of 100, but I forgot one question. And unfortunately, maybe you just weren't feeling great that day. You didn't quite get the question. You actually got this question wrong. Okay, so on day one, you got 99 out of 99 right. On day two, you got 0 out of 1. Okay, so on day one, you get 100%. On day two, you get 50%. This is the same test. Just Miss Brockhoff's just split it up into 2 days. 99 questions one day, one question the next. Oops, this is 0%, right? So Miss Brockhoff's calculating your score, and she says, well, you got 100% on the first day, 0% on the second day, so this must mean that you get 50% on this test. Okay, and I hope you'd say, Miss Brockhoff, there's no way. There were 100 questions on this test, and I got 99 of them right. How did I get 50%? Okay, I would argue, right, and I hope you're arguing the same thing, is that in total, you got 99 questions right out of a total 100, which gives us 99%. Okay, so notice the difference. Here, we're averaging the percentages. On day one, you got 100%. On day two, you got 0%, unfortunately, even though it was only one question. That gives you 50%, okay? I would have some problems with that if Ms. Brockhoff gave me 50% on this, okay? Or you got 99 out of 100 total, right? There was 99 plus 100 total. You got 99%. I would much rather take this, and hopefully you guys agree with that. So that's kind of what we're talking about today. We're going to work with how to raise a percentage, how to lower a percentage, and how to maintain a percentage. Those are the three things that we're going to try to talk about. So let's do that. Okay, so the first thing is raising a percentage. Okay, so this is like same sort of scenario. You get 5 out of 10 on one test, and you're trying to raise your mark up. Okay, right now you're sitting at 50%, right? 5 out of 10, you're sitting at 50%, but your parents are like, if you get honors, if you get 80%, we'll give you some money. So you're trying to get to 80%. Okay, that's your target. You're trying to get to 80%. So the easiest way to raise your mark or raise your percentage is keep getting 100%. As long as you keep getting 100%, your mark is guaranteed to go up and get closer and closer and closer to 100%. So we can keep adding 100%. So we can add, let's say you have another assignment, 5 out of 5. Okay, so you're adding 100%. But now we're going to look at the total, right? Because we're not worried about the average. Okay, we're not worried about the average of these two. What we're worried about is what the total is. So currently, we have a total of, 10, right? 5 plus 5 is 10 out of 15. Okay, 10 out of 15, I know, is the same as 2 out of 3 is 66.7%, or we can round that to 67%. Okay, so we're getting better. We're not quite there yet. Let's add another 100%. Okay, so we can add another 5 out of 5. Now we're at 15 out of 20. And we're getting close. 15 out of 20 is 3 out of 4 is 75%. So we can see that every time we're adding 100%, right? You get a 5 out of 5 on assignment, 5 out of 5 on assignment. We're getting closer and closer to 80%. Okay, I'll add another 5 out of 5. Okay, so this was 1, 2. Now the third time we add something, we are at 20 out of 25, which I know is the same as 4 out of 5, which is 80%. Okay, so now we've made our mark. Okay, so that's one way of raising our or increasing a percentage, is to continuously add 100% until we meet our goal. This is, I think, the easiest way. We could have gone up by 90% every time. We could have got 9 out of 10 on a test, but then it gets a little bit more complicated. 100%, that's really easy to do. Okay. Another way we could have thought about this. Okay, so the second way that we could think about how to increase our increasing our percentage or combined percentage, right? Increasing our percentage by either doing better on a test, completing more passes, whatever the scenario might be. Let's say that right now we have completed 5 out of 10 passes. So we've thrown 10 passes in gym class. We've completed 5 of them, right? They've been caught. Our target is to try to get to 80%. Okay, so that's our target. So 5 out of 10, right? We know that that is 50%. So the second way to try to maybe get a shortcut, instead of having to continuously add and add and add and add and get closer and closer to it, we want to try to jump right to it. Okay, and how we can do that is we want to try to find an equivalent fraction to 80%, something like 8 out of 10 or 80 out of 100, right? Something like these are both equivalent to 80. We want to find one that's close, or the smallest possible one, to 5 over 10, right? We don't want to do a lot of work, so we want to add the smallest amount. We don't want to have to throw 1,000 passes to get our percentage back up to 80. So let's think about some more, right? There's 4 over 5, that's too small, but 40 over 50, maybe that one would work. We could cut that in half and it would stay equivalent, so 20 over 25. Okay, so here are some that we could possibly work with, and hopefully one of these works. Okay, so some are going to be too small, right? We've already passed 5 passes. We can't go back in time. We can't subtract. We can only add. We're already at 10. So the next smallest, let's try 20 over 25. And what that means that if we add some amount of passes and get the right amount right, we can get to 20 over 25. Okay, remembering that all of these are equal to 80%. If we could have got to any of these, then our total percentage, our combined percentage, would be 80%. So what we need to think of now is what plus 5 gives us 20. That turns out to be 15. And what plus 10 gives us to 25? That also ends up being 15. Notice that we're adding 100%. Okay, so this is the smallest one that would have worked, we could have done it bigger to 50 or 100. Those both would have worked as well because we can add up to them, right? The other ones have already been missed. They're too small. Okay, so notice that we were just able to jump right to it. Okay, so we can do the same thing with trying to shrink our percentage. Let's say that we have 75%, so that might be 12 out of 15. Okay, but imagine now this is a bad percentage. We want the number of kids, this could be the number of kids in gym class getting injured, either stubbing their fingers catching a basketball, or getting kicked in the shins during soccer, or getting hit in the head during dodgeball, and that's just too high. Maybe Mr. Rekwa says we got to get that number down at least to 50%. Okay, so we want that number below, at or below 50%. So the easiest way to do this, again, just like we were adding 100% before, now we can add 0%. So imagine going a gym class, going to the gym, having a fun gym class, but no one getting hurt. So we could add 0%, right? And 0%, and 0%, and 0%. And then continuously add it, and it would slowly come down. Okay. Or we could try to jump to the end again using an equivalent fraction, right? So for 50%, a very easy fraction, I'm just going to think about the easy ones, is 50 over 100, right? We could get there. We could add our way up to 50 over 100, or we could add our way up to 25 over 50. We could add our way up to, what else? 20 over 40. We could add our way up to 15 over 30. I think there's a smaller one we could get to. We could add our way up to 12 over 24, okay? Notice this one, right? We've already had 12 injuries, let's say. This is the smallest one that we could possibly do, because this just means that we can't have any more injuries, and we have to get up to 24 total before it all adds up. So this has to equal to 12 over 24. This means that we need to start adding a class, or class after class, until we get to 12 injuries out of 24 classes instead of 12 out of 15 classes. Okay? So what plus 12 gives us 12? That is easy, that's 0. What plus 15 gives us to 24? That ends up being 9. Okay, so if we go 9 classes in a row without an injury, then our percentage will come down to 50%. We could have kept adding up to 15 over 30, or 20 over 40, or 25 over 50, or 50 over 100, right? We can keep adding up to those numbers, but we will still get 50%, but this is the first and the smallest and the closest and maybe the easiest one to get to. Okay, and notice that here we are adding a 0%. Okay. Okay, and notice that it's not an average. Not an average. The middle of 50 and 0, or sorry, 75 and 0, the average of that is not 50. Okay, remember taking an average is adding them all up and then dividing by the number that are totally there is actually 37.5. So not equal, okay? Does not equal 50%. So it's not an average. There's a few ways of doing this. First, okay, the first way was like incrementally, like small steps, right? We can either keep adding 100%, and then we can slowly get there, right? We slowly worked our way up. Or we can think about a way to jump straight there by taking an equivalent fraction of our target and seeing what we need to add by, right? In this case, we need to add by 15 and over 15. So we need to, in this case, maybe complete 15 passes in a row, and then our total would come up to 80. And we can think about the same way when we want to decrease it, right? Our target is 50%. So we thought of some equivalent fractions for 50%, right? Half. And I picked the closest one and notice that the 12 stays the same. We just need to increase our total by 9. So in this case, go 9 classes in a row with 0 incidents or stubbed fingers or toes or dodgeballs to the face. Okay, so that's kind of the strategy that we want to take into it. I'm going to switch over now to the site, so just give me a sec, and I'll see you in a minute here. Okay, so if you go to your Google class and go down to the Math Interactives portion of this, you'll get to this site and you might need to activate your Flash. If your Flash doesn't come up, there might be a little check right here. You can go in there, turn your Flash on, refresh the page, and we should be good to go. So you can watch the video. It shows you how the sports people keep their stats. You can see Ricky Ray throwing some touchdowns and kind of get a feel for what we're doing here. So then it also comes with a worksheet that looks like this, right? It's either a Word document or you can print it out. I'm going to blow this up so we can see it so it's a little bit bigger. It looks like this. Okay, same idea, just something that we can see together. So let's go back and we're going to, after watching the video, okay, I'm partway through here. Touchdown. Yep. Okay, so we can go to the interactive and it'll take you to a different link. It'll take you to a little bit of a question and it gives you some things to work with. Okay, so at the top, it asks for a target percentage. Okay, and this is what we talked about before, and it's different. It's going to be up in red up at the top of your page. This is the target. So in this case, our target, okay, let me flip back. Our target was 80%. Okay, and it's going to show you how many we threw right in the first game. In this case, it is 40 out of 50. So again, I will go back to my page and show 40 out of 50. And that tells us that we right now have 80%. Okay. Let's see if I can. Okay. So we have 40 out of 50 in game 1, gets us to 80%. We want a total of 80%. So we need to make sure that we find a way to add up to a total of 80%. And so if we're having trouble, we can use our sliders. Okay, we can use our sliders and try to get to 80%. So you can see that if we move it all the way up, We can get close to 80. You can see it down on the bottom here, dancing around. Okay, so we can make it really low. We can make it really high, whatever we think. Okay, so let's try to get to the next one that's 80. So what I'm going to do, 1 for 1, notice that we're just above 80. What if we go 1 for 2, just below, 2 for 2, too high, 2 for 3, 2 for 4, too low again, 3 for 4, we're getting so close, 4 for 5. Okay, so that means that we only threw 5 passes in the next game and completed 4 of them. That would be the next one. Okay, so pretty light game. I think maybe Ricky Ray was running the ball a lot this game, so we could have 4 out of 5. And again, we have 80%. And this is one of the ones where this idea of an average actually does work out, right? So it's 80% and 80%, the average of getting 80 two games in a row. You're going to have 80, but we also take a look at the total, right? So the total passes, we had 40 and 4, so our total is 44. And our total passes thrown is 50 plus 55. Or sorry, 50 plus 5 is 55. We might need our calculators for this one. And let's hope that this gets us to 80%. So 44 divided by 55 is 0.8, but we need to multiply that by 100 to make it a percent. 80%. Good. So this is 80%. Good. So that's what we can do on our worksheet. It's going to ask us to do it twice. So after this, we have the right percentage down here in red, so we're allowed to continue. But now it's asking us to get the same percentage, but in a different way. So instead of 4 out of 5, right, still 80, but now we can't get through because it's not new, right? It's asking for a new one. So you can play around with it. But as long as we keep getting 4 out of every 5 right? So if we can add another 4 out of 5 and another 4 out of 5, we'll keep getting new stats, right? So add 4 is 8. 4 plus 4 is 8. 5 plus 5 is 10. We should be back to 80. Good. But now we've thrown twice as many passes and completed twice as many passes. Okay. So now we have a new one. Good. We can go through. We can write all of this again in the second side, right? Game 1 is still 40 out of 50. But now game 2 is 8 out of 10. And we can do the math and calculate it again, and it should all work out to 80%. Okay, so that's our new one. They say, huzzah, good job. Now it looks like we have another one, maintaining again. So we have to get to 40% again. We can play around with our scrollers, right? And try to get back to 40%. New again. I have to do that twice, and it looks like we have to do that in total 3 times. Hopefully they're not all maintaining for you, and you might get different numbers, and that's okay. Use the sliders if you need. Lastly, there is a couple of questions. Not a lot of order here. So now it talks about a science test, okay, on question 2 on our sheet. Okay, it's asking for a science test. So it says, suppose you have received 20 out of 25 on the first math test of the school year. The second math test is a total out of 75 marks. What mark must you achieve in the second math test to have a combined average of 70%? Okay, so I'll set this one up for you. I'm not going to give you the answers, but I'll set it up for you. And then number 3 is very similar as well. And then number 4 is kind of an extension and a thinking question. So I'll leave that one for you as well. So for us here, so on our first test, we get 20 out of 25. Okay, we can use our calculators. I know that 20 out of 25 gives me 80%. The second math test is out of 75 marks. So that means that we have 75 marks. What mark must you achieve in the second math test? So how many do you have to get right to have a combined average of 70%? Fill in the blanks in the table to arrive at your answer. Okay, so I'm going to move this box just kind of up here. So this plus this has to equal the totals. So we're not sure what this is yet. That's what we need to figure out. Well, actually, we know that one. We can figure that one out from the question. But we know it's going to be out of 75 plus 25 is out of 100. And we know we want to get 70 as our total test or a total score for the class. So we want to get to 70 out of 100. Okay, so notice that 25 plus 75 equals 100. So what plus 20 gets us to 70? Okay, so we can figure out what belongs in that box. And you can tell me the percentage as well. Just use your calculator or your big brain to do some division. And we can write these in here. So this would be your total test. Test of 1 and 2 would be 70. Total possible marks would be 100. And our total would be 70. But the big question is, what is supposed to go in this box? Okay, how many right do you need to get out of 75 in order to obtain a total percentage of 70%? Okay. The next question is very similar. Okay, so suppose you get 15 out of 20. Again, 15 out of 20. The second is out of 30. What must you get to get 60? Okay, so a little bit different now. So now we need to think about what out of 50 gets us to 60%, right? It's asking for a combined average of 60% or a combined percentage of 60%. So this is 50, this is 60%. We can think, okay, what out of 50 gets us to 60%? Remember, percent literally means out of 100. So we can think about equivalent fractions. 60 out of 100 equals what out of 50? Okay, to get from 100 to 50, we needed to divide, not percent, divide by 2. So to get from 60, we also need to divide by 2, and we get to 30. So 60% is 30 out of 50. How do we get there? Okay, you guys can tell me the percentages. You guys can tell me the combined totals and the combined percentage. And make sure you show all your work for Ms. Brokoff, okay? The last question is kind of a theory question. They show you all of the work, but they're asking you, right, the two different methods, kind of what we talked about at the start of this video. Explain why the answers are different. Okay, so one way they're averaging the percentages, and one way they are combining the total amount of points scored. Why are they different? One ends up being 70, one ends up being 67.5. Use your lines here. A sentence or two is plenty to tell us why those two are different. Okay, so I'll leave you there. Please, if you have any questions, you can email myself. Let me write that down for you. Or you can email your homeroom teacher, Mr. Booth. We're going to be taking over for Miss Brockhoff for a little bit. So mine is Ian.Bremnes, and I'll zoom out just in a second, at sturgeon.ab.ca. Okay. So you can email me there. I can get back to you. Please let me know if you're having trouble accessing the video. Yeah, good luck. Sorry it's long. I just wasn't sure where you guys are at. Okay, have a good day. Thanks, guys.